Hello and welcome to the Crypto Day morning. Today's date, it's in that of Tuesday, 18th of December, 2018. All bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. For myself, risk reward management, always job number one. And that's going to be a big talk about this video as far as hedging and within the crypto market. I'll talk about Bitcoin, a couple markets on Bittrex that have had some nice little moves, and I want to go over them on the short-term time frame. And you know what? Sometimes you miss out on the better deals or you don't get the high. So be it. And later in the next video, I'm going to talk about winning on the lottery, at least here in Ontario, Canada. And when I say winning, all I mean is putting odds in your favor to win several fold on a small bet. And this would be related to in sports and how you can hedge those bets as well when you're in position to do so. But that would be the next video. So for now, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Daily term time frame. Yesterday's move started below the 18 average of lows after it went down on the 13th. It spent 3 days, or it spent 3 days below the 18 average of lows, decently at lows not seen in quite some time, amongst low volatility, and a decent size but regular size move since the decline as it matches this size, so a regular good size move occurred that brought the price average not only to the 18 average of lows, not only to the 18 average of closes, but noticeably but barely above the 18 average of highs. Within such, today's session, and it is 8:50 a.m. Eastern Time, which means that it is past the halfway point of the day for this timing. It's just hanging in there near the top of it. So what this tells me, just by looking at it, that the market thus far has digested the gains positively or not negatively by not selling it off. But at the same point, we haven't had that break further. Will we have such today or soon? Quite possibly. What this has done, because it has just gotten to the highs, this is the step needed for the 18 average to flatten out. And when you're in a down move like this, that means the down move has went into more of a neutral base, or it's attempting to do such within the 4-hour term. There's that big break of resistance, quick little move, and since then, sideways consolidation. Quickly, just by looking at this, we can see this period in here showing a low that was lower than the previous one. So it looks to me, and I haven't seen the shorter term time frame as I'm doing this video, other than the single hour, that there's a nice little failed breakdown, fast move higher. And I didn't look at the hourly market for more than maybe 20 seconds. It was the first chart I looked at when I woke up. Single hour time frame. Okay, so if we put a line in here, we can see that it had that little bit of a move below. We're going to want to take a look at this more on the 15 and 5. And there's your liftoff from the 18 and correction through time as it established the range. Of course, the lower end was 34.70. It pierced below it. But then we can see here, after piercing below it, one small period just congesting the loss there. Quickly thereafter, making it to this point. So when you have a spot like this and you break it, well, now you're expecting, if it's going to be a down move and a reversal in direction, that you're going to resist this area, which means the 18 average of highs is a must hold if you're on a negative level. It obviously didn't do such. So therefore, resisting anywhere between the 18 lows and the 18 highs is what you would expect. And then you see, if it was not this green candle, but if it started to show a red candle going lower, a lot of concern that we break this level and possibly go to the 33 and change, or some sort of leg lower. But within this point in here, it had this move up, and we look at this now on the 15-minute time frame. There's your failed breakdown, not in that big a volume, but we see how the volume now starting to surge nicely, but not too big. But the price action, when it got above the 18 average of highs, nice successful consolidation. And well, since it broke this resistance here at the 34 high change level, it's managed to have a fast move. Where would you expect it to? Well, where were the key resistance points? The lower end is where it is now at about the 35.29, and the upper end is closer but not quite at the 36 mark. So it's at least managed to have a fast move to one of those points. It still needs to get above that higher number to show a more of a larger size possible move. And there we have it, 5 minutes. Not really much to go over. I'm going to be finished talking about the short-term time frame. I'm going to now switch into hedging and then a few altcoins. Now, as I've been asked about doing a video upon such, and I really don't have much to go over, the basic part of a hedge is when you have a positive situation that can be damaged or in whatever way, and you can have some sort of bet against it, then that can be a positive result, especially when you lose your hedge bet. Your return on what you're going to get is so much greater that it becomes worth doing such. And I'm going to tell you what I did very successfully and unsuccessfully during this ride higher. Because right now when the markets are going lower, unless you're shorting the market, there's really no need to hedge. So shorts, that's a different story. But during this long run, when the moves are going higher, and I expect future situations to come again, what I like to do is hedge against the cryptocurrencies not making it. Thus, during this up run, I was buying physical silver with cryptocurrencies, and as well in here. But I haven't been buying since probably sometime in here when I felt, okay, yeah, it looks like there's a decent chance this might go to 3,000. So I had a couple good buys to finish me off, and I haven't bought since. So that was one way, and that was on the successful level. Because if it works out that, say, the market's bottom in here, and then we end up going back to the 20 and even higher than that, I would look at my portfolio and say, look at the silver I bought here, yet I could use that same amount of coin, which I could have invested with on top as such as well, and bought in this much more silver. Well, so be it, because the hedge situation states that if I'm going to lose the hedge bet, I'm still going to be fine. Now, what should have been done that wasn't, because of the fact that I was not aggressively enough, but okay, I guess, in hedging, thus selling Bitcoin and Litecoin for, at the time, US dollar tether, later changed to the true US dollar. Well, why wasn't I doing it up in here? As I talk about the buy low, sell high, you put your sell orders in here, and then, oh, you sell up here at, say, 15. I'm going to put a buy order down maybe at 7 or 8 or something. And you can go very aggressive when you're talking about hedges. I like to play 10, 20% moves, but when you're talking about long-term hedges, you're talking about 50, 60, 70% declines. So, okay, so these top ones, this one would have obviously bought back. And if, say, I would have sold somewhere around 10,000, given that it's been at 3, that one would have bought back. And then if I would have, say, sold around, say, 52, 54, well, I want more than half off, so those ones probably would be buying back later, if, of course, it would get there. So that is the real basics that I can go as far as hedging your bets, at least within the crypto market. Again, later today, and probably not that much longer, later this morning rather, most likely, I'm going to be talking about a lottery game in Ontario, Canada, whether it's available in other provinces, maybe. And if it's available other places, I'll talk about the mathematics upon it and why it is profitable. The basics to it is like poker. A casino's going to win playing poker. They're just taking the rake and the players play against each other. It's a very similar philosophy within such. And then, of course, how to hedge on that play there. So let's go over to a few alternate coins. I'm going to talk about a couple of coins playing on Bittrex. I talked about MUI yesterday and that I had a sell order at $4.99 and it hit. As we can see that it's now 5.02, and within the day it got up to 5.70. Yeah, my next sell order wasn't up there. So I got one sell order hit at $4.99. Looking at this amongst the 4-hour term time frame, as a trader, if I'm looking at this for the first time, what is catching my eyes? First thing are these plays in here, And we're getting one right now, it looks like. Okay, so be it. I would look back. Do I see any more historically before then? And it's... Ooh, there's some in here. What's the volatility amongst such? What's the size of the moves? 370 up to 500. Okay, that's well better than 20%. 500 pulling back to 4. 400 rising up to 480. 20%, meh, something though. And then 480 back to 400. But here we are going 400 up to like 589, 589 back to 400. I mean, that's over a 20% move. 500 is a 20% move. That's about 200 into 6. They're over 30% move down. So very good volatility. And this is a 4-hour term time frame, not the daily. On the daily, we can see that, well, nice little setup to say the least. So if I'm looking to enter into a position, I like that it's down rather than up, because I understand this empty space, it can very easily fill. And I know there's a lot more on top of that as well. There's been monstrous volatility before, and I know this doesn't give proper log scale, but we can see the lines in here. And these moves right now that are pretty decent overall are small in the larger spectrum of things. And the rise higher, of course, same thing as well. So therefore, we can see here that, again, the market had a big move higher. Any sell orders got filled. So now I'll be looking to buy this pretty deep right now based on the order book, but I'll play around with it. I'll change my orders here and there as other people do as well. And seeing that I sold at 500, well, I'll be looking to sell probably, I think it's north of 5. It might be that I'd either sell. I can't remember what I did, but either one's fine. Sell below this high, because if I sold at 500 and it goes to 570, that's like a 13-14% move, which is like the minimum I would take. So it leaves that open. But I also look at the fact that this is a pretty bullish market if it breaks above this resistance. So it has some decent ways to go, which can put you in line to say, okay, I can sell in the 600s area, 640, 650. From 500, that's a differential of 150 points or a 30% gain. And I'm going to profit more selling at 30% moves, buying back at like maybe a 20%, 25% decline or whatever, compared to selling at 15% up and 13% down and that sort of thing as well. Because if I do that, instead of, say, for example, if I sell for smaller gains versus larger ones, if I'm selling for 650, that would be my sell. But if I sell twice on the way there, well, then I would sell here and there, so I'd have a sell average at around 610 or something like that. Still, I'm happy with that as well. Let's take a look at SWT. And amongst its daily time frame, what are those things that point out here? Okay, yeah, I got this one day where the price action had a nice small gain going from 3,000 to 11,000. And when I say small gain, I'm kind of sarcastic and realistic at the same time. That's what's amazing about that. Because these types of moves happen frequently. And 3x, man, these crypto worlds, we're talking like 5, 10, 20, 100, even 400x at times. Okay, we'll get there later. At least some of them will, I presume. Anyway, the movements are one thing. Look at the size of these daily term candles. And rightfully at around November 25th, and even in here, a little bit bigger, but definitely on December the 2nd, the month has changed. There was decent sized volume on that day, and of course larger here. The follow-through volume has been good. Today's volume has been pretty good, but expected on a spot like this. But from this amazing move, with good volatility, it has had some nice up and down choppy moves. Even within it, having a low of 37 change and then rallying up to 55 and change is like a 50% move. Okay. When you look at this on, say, a weekly term time frame, yeah, it's down a lot. So the risk reward for the possibilities here, if this thing even just has a bear market rally, meaning it retraces a percentage from a high in near that of 250,000 and this low at about 2,500. That's about a 100x move. So if it just does a portion of that, maybe it gets up to 25,000 or 32. Well, that would be set in line for about a 4x move, and that could consider that to a bear market rally. But if I can get any of this, I mean, this is profitable if you just keep on seeing these ranges go like this and selling up here and continuously buying at the lower end. That can be very, very profitable. And in here, you see these little lines in here. This upper part is like 57, this lower part 38. I mean, okay moves, but still you can profit amongst a situation like that. And when we look at this on a short-term time frame, the single hour, this is a spot where this move happened at 6 o'clock. And I was sleeping at 6 o'clock, at least from 6 o'clock to 6:45 or 6:50. That's when I got up, and it still took a few minutes for me to check the market, so I didn't even look at the markets until barely after 7. My last sell order was 5,600, roughly around in here. Therefore, I look at it now, 6,000, not going to be a seller. So I'll look to buy back. Where? Well, I can buy back at around, in this area, around 48, 47. If it goes higher, I can look towards these moves. But I'll just let the market do what it does and then keep on playing within this situation, because within these crypto markets, I wouldn't be surprised, again, I say this over and over again, but for the harmony to keep on place, and harmony means cryptos in general all go up or down together, and that we have what we've seen twice last year, once at the end of the year in December. We can see here the bottom was a little late at around December the 11th. The average bottom for most coins was around December the 1st. And then they went up into January for most coins. Some coins topped near the end of the month in December, and some went on even into February. This case here, this had a top at around December 24th. So it was a relatively faster period, but it had its move together. And I don't know if this has the data for it. Probably does, barely. But last year, what happened in Harmony before? From around the end of February to into the summer, everything went up together over a decent period of time. All of March, April, May, into June. And we can see here, into June, this was the top at June 14. And the move, well, I mean, just your standard. And of course, I'm sarcastic, but not really when I say this, because it is kind of standard. 10,000 to 200,000, 20x move. There was a lot of coins that did better and worse than that during its run higher, crossed, of course, against that of Bitcoin. And then even throughout, it followed what everything happened here. From the middle of the summer, there was a little bit of a rally in the middle part of it that Swarm City didn't take much part in, but it was a small rally at that anyway. But generally speaking, from the middle of June to the start of December, everything went down with one decent bear market rally. And lately now, since this January, February top, everything's went down with a brief April Fool's rally. And this April Fool's rally started for, it was just standard. So everything works together, and because everything's going down like this, we're now at a point where some markets are starting to look to break out, some are going sideways, and some haven't stopped this grinding its way lower. So it's a potpourri of movements for the most part. But are we seeing a change where everything will go up soon together? I think in time we will, and whether it's now or not, well, we're due for it. But when you're due for something like that, that means you'll remain due until it happens. I think we've been due for it since even the summer. June, July, August, and April it was due for a small one, and that's all it had. So it could remain this way until next summer, and it will just become even more due to happen as well. Thank you for tuning in. And again, later in the next few hours or minutes, I'll be putting out a video for Ontario, Canada, where you can have a long-term profit to bet a little and win a lot. There's no winning 50 or 100 or 400 bucks in this strategy. There's none of that. And there's no winning millions either. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.